This Pokemon game took me 8 years to finish. Why, you may ask? Well, it's a simple answer really. I got burnt out playing Pokemon games and felt like this game in particular didn't have the same feelings as the previous games in the series. However, I can't really remember exactly what happened in this game, so why don't we go back and finish it how a younger me previously intended. Opening up the game on my original childhood 3DS, we're here at this altar with Lily, the only character that I can remember. So why don't we check out the team that we are rocking with at this point in the game? It's all evolutions! And we are severely under-leveled. Oh god, what was I thinking? I started this playthrough on November 19th, 2016. So that is so crazy to me. We play the Moon Flute with Lily while she plays the Sun Flute, and Nebby turns into the legendary Pokemon Lunala. We enter this mysterious area dubbed Ultra Space. Here we see Guzma, this Team Skull boss, who states he's never been scared of nothing. He's the one that people fear, but here in the Ultra Space, he is scared for his life and calls us stupid. Why yes, Guzma, we are. And I have level 30 Pokemon. We continue forward to find Lusamine, Lily's mother, who is psycho that I can remember, and Lily tries to change her mother's mind and return to the real world, but she is defiant and refuses. She says she doesn't need Lily anymore and says a bunch of awful things to her own daughter, which is really quite sad. We get into a battle with this morphed up Lusamine, and it was intense, let me tell you. It took me 2 tries for this fight because of her darn Clefable, and as you know, I am severely under-leveled and probably have the worst team imaginable for this area. But hey, it's the cutest, that's for sure. Sylveon and Jolteon absolutely carried this fight for me. Sylveon because fairy typing is absolutely awesome, and the fact that it was my only leveled Pokemon, but Jolteon also because it paralyzed the Clefable and allowed me to slowly drain its health while it used up all of its moves. So yeah, it took a while, but the rest of the fight after that was actually a piece of cake. Due to Sylveon, the fairy moves either did enough damage that the typing didn't really matter, or I had a move that was actually super effective, so I really lucked out because I was dumb and decided to save as soon as I got into the Ultra Space, so I couldn't back out now. After that hot mess, Lunala comes to the rescue and separates Lusamine from the Pokemon Nihilego. And there's this really emotional cutscene with Lily and her mother, which almost made me feel bad. Almost. And brings us back to the altar where we originally started. Hapu, whoever this person is, takes Lusamine to safety so she can recover and get the care that she needs, and then Lily tells Nebby that it should be captured by us so we can keep going on adventures like it wants, and so we catch that bad boy in the Master Ball because I was not playing around. And I had nothing. So now it is time for us to challenge the Elite Four in the Pokemon League. So, half of my Pokemon are still level 30, so we have to do something about this team before we do anything. So let's see what Pokemon we got in the box first. Well, it looks like there is some promising recruits here, such as the 7 Rattata, and I figured out that I must have done a lot of mystery trading back in the day because things seem to range from being level 5 to level 60. I have a level 1 Gibble that I feel could be so good, but it's level 1 and I certainly cannot be bothered to level it up to a decent level. So after some careful considerations, the finalized team that is going to carry me to victory is a Sylveon, Toucannon, Golduck, Incineroar, Lunala, and Salandit. It seems to be pretty versatile to me, but I really don't know what we're going into, so let's do this. I can only buy like 5 max potions, so going into the Elite Four, I was not expecting much. The goal ended up being more or less to just make some money and then redo it again. In this game, you were able to choose which Elite Four member you wanted to challenge first, so I went to the right and challenged the Flying type Kahili. Sylveon was not cutting it for this match, so I instead brought out Incineroar since he was super effective against Skarmory. Her other Pokemon decided to absolutely roll my team, so I had 2 Pokemon left, and then Toucannon absolutely carried and won the fight for me. Thank goodness. I healed what Pokemon I could with my very, very limited supplies and headed to the next Elite Four member. This time I picked Olivia, who has rock types. By some stroke of luck, we actually managed to beat her, but suffered some losses, and the last members standing were Sylveon and Lunala. Hollow was next on my list. We fought, and we actually beat him too, which was kind of insane. And then with Acerola, we actually rolled through her too. So we're up against the champion now. So maybe I can actually win. Well, no. I ended up losing. Yay! We fought pretty hard, surprisingly, so I doubt the next round will have little to no issues. What actually surprised me was who the champion was. It was Professor Kukui for this game. How neat is that? And it seems like he has some ties to Kanto and Lance, which I found so interesting to see some connections to the other Pokemon games. So I spent all of the money that I've earned on some potions and revives and challenged the Elite Four once again. And now that I knew what I was up against, I breezed through those losers and headed up to the champion once again. This time we have a full team, lots of heals, and a dream. When we entered the battle with Kukui, he sent out his Lycanroc, and we sent out Sylveon. I went to my Pokemon to see if I had any Pokemon that were super effective against it, and brought out Golduck. Golduck had a bunch of super effective moves against his Lycanroc, so we easily breezed through him. Magnezone was our next opponent, so we brought out Incineroar, who had some Fire-type moves, and dominated him as well. He sent out Magnezone, our next opponent, so we brought out Incineroar, who had some Fire-type moves that were super effective against him. We used Flamethrower, almost killed the Magnezone, but not quite, and Incineroar eventually fainted, so we sent out Sylveon to finish the job. Braviary was the next opponent. Sylveon used Twinkle Tackle against Braviary, which was close, but instead it allowed Kukui to use a full restore on it. We used Moonblast a few times and eventually defeated the Braviary. Snorlax was next, so we brought Golduck back out again, healed him up, and then used our fighting type move, Brick Break. So we used that a few times, and Snorlax was down. Kukui sent out his own Incineroar, so of course we brought out Golduck and used Scald, and completely one-shot him. Ninetales was next, and I didn't know what type this was. I thought it was like an ice type, so I brought out Salandit to use Flamethrower, and it was super effective. After that, we officially defeated Professor Kukui. We are officially Alola's first ever champion. After we become immortalized as the first champion in Alola, we celebrate with a festival. With all of the characters in the game, Lily returns and asks us to slip away from the festival just for a minute and visit the ruins of conflict now that the bridge is fixed. Here we see the statue for Tapu Koko, some important Pokemon that I can't recall as for what reason. We touch it and the statue comes to battle us. I was definitely not prepared for this because I didn't have any Pokeballs at all. But I apparently had 5 Ultra Balls. So I gave it a shot and ended up failing, and then I killed Tapu Koko. We returned to the festival and no one noticed that we were gone, and we continued celebrating all night. The next day, Hao comes running into our house saying we have to go back to the dock. And once we get there, we discover Lily is leaving, and she didn't even tell us. Well, she tried to tell us the previous night, but she decided that she is going to Kanto to help her mother and go on a journey of her own. It makes me sad, but the character growth for Lily in this game is insanely good. She's grown up so fast. We say our final goodbyes, and then the credits roll. So finally, after 8 years, I can finally say that I completed Pokemon Moon after giving it up. Replaying this game again on the 3DS has actually reignited a new passion for me with the Pokemon games, and I've never ended up touching Ultra Sun and Moon because I didn't even finish this game. But now I'm actually excited to see what it's all about. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I shall see you in the next one. Bye!